there's three main types of producers in the music business that I like to define it by or divide it up with. Because like you have producers in the film world too. But the three in the music business is the music producer, and that's the one that, you know, they're actually like an arranger. Like 30 years ago, they would have been called an arranger, not a music producer. But they're actually like composing music and creating like tracks and such. Like maybe they're...
So like in this case, like this type of producer, from, if I understand this right, could like get a demo from an artist and then take that, kind of like flesh it out. Like they could get like a scratch vocal and scratch guitar and then take that and be like, okay, yeah, what kind of vibe do you want with this? Oh, you want this to be an EDM production. Cool. I'll remove this acoustic guitar track, and now we've got like lush pads and got these awesome leads and, you know, some 808s. And
or it's like a hip hop and rap producer, and they're the person that's making the beat maker, basically. So the next one I call the record producer. A lot of people don't like that term anymore because we don't make records anymore. But they're basically the person that's like in charge of making sure that the single or the LP, or I mean the EP or the album gets done. And they're usually hired by the record label, but they work with the artist, and they kind of are the go-between between the artist, the engineer, and the record label to make sure the project gets done.
They're essentially a project manager.
Yeah.
They're thinking about timelines. They're thinking about budget. They're thinking about how soon is this going to happen.
But the third one is where they're thinking more about budget and stuff.
Okay.
They're more like the director of the film.
Okay.
And they do have musical say, and they're kind of like the go-between, the artistic go-between between the artist that speaks artistic mumbo-jumbo speak and the engineer that speaks technical speak. They're kind of the go-between. And a lot of engineers are record producers. Right. A lot of the famous engineers are engineer/producer sort of thing. The third one is the executive producer, and they're the ones that are like for the record label, and they sit in the office and they worry about the budgets and the timelines and stuff like that. And they're the ones that are like paying for it, you know. Yeah. And they're really similar to an executive producer like on a movie. It's the same kind of thing. But that one's like not in the studio as much. But those other two are in the studio. And the example I always give, it's like when
Max
you watch
Martin
like Max Martin, he kind of works as both. But a lot of times, especially in like hip hop production, you can see a definite difference between the record producer and the music producer. If you watch the videos, the music producer is like there on a keyboard with the laptop usually, and the record producer is on the couch, you know, making calling the shots.
They're like, no, I don't like that. We're gonna have to retract that. We need something better. Like, can you thicken it up a little bit? Yeah.
It's like not. I know we don't like to name drop and whatnot, but I think talking about some names to give a good examples, like it's like this kind of sounds like a Rick Rubin type vibe, or like Mutt Lange.
Yeah, Mutt Lange's definitely a record producer, and George Martin. He kind of filled the role of both record producer and music producer. I mean, he did the arrangements for the orchestrations for the Beatles and stuff. Yeah. But he was the record producer. He was the one who worked for the record label, and was like you got to make sure the Beatles actually produce an album, you know. And so that was like George Martin's
which was fine
job.
Until Yoko Ono came in.
Now we're going down.
Okay. Man.
Shots fired.
Yeah. But anyways, those are the three producers.